So you think if you're out of the picture, more people will vote Liberal?
Well, and I said in the debate, I said, I'm sorry that more people don't like me. I acknowledged that. I acknowledged that for whatever reason, it makes it harder for people to vote Liberal because I'm the leader. So
what is that like to like? How does that's got to be soul crushing.
It's hard. And people constantly ask me, well, why? And I don't know the full answer to that. I don't know. But what's harder, honestly, Cynthia, what's harder is to think that we would lose momentum on the good things that are happening in the province. Honestly.
Let's get back to the why, because I've been thinking about this a lot myself. Like, why? Is it because you're a woman? Is it because you're an older woman? Is it because you're gay?
Well, I think all of those things may have something to do with it.
I mean, I've seen your Twitter feed and the comments.
Yeah, and it's interesting. It's interesting that you add age into that, because I do think there's an element of that as well.
More for a woman than if you were a man. Men
get distinguished as they get old, right? That's not necessarily how people see women. But I've never used that as an excuse in any way, and I never would, because I think that there's a certain group of people who see those things as a problem, and I don't know whether they ever voted for me in the first place and whether they ever had a good opinion of me at all. But there are other things at play, and I've said to you before, I think that there are some tough decisions that I made that
a couple of weeks ago by John Barber, of course, former Globe and Mailer, and now freelancing. This was actually an article in the Toronto Star, but he basically said Kathleen Wynne was the premier that Ontario didn't deserve, and then listed her accomplishments. Can we just unpack a bit, perhaps for the benefit of the rest of the country, what it is about Kathleen Wynne that apparently she proved so unpopular with Ontario voters? Susan?
I don't know. It's a puzzle to me. I like her. That being said, whether you like somebody personally, it doesn't mean you agree with every single thing they did. I mean, she carried a very heavy load of baggage from the McGuinty government and from previous decisions, and people just get weary after 15 years. Hydro, selling partly privatizing Hydro One, I think, was a big policy mistake. The government hasn't done anything to relieve traffic congestion and hallway medicine and all the other things that have been issues in the campaign. It's not exclusively Kathleen Wynne's fault by any means, but people in Ontario, I guess, are rightly frustrated and they want to give somebody else a try. What I don't understand is the animus towards her, because I think she's one of the most honest, intelligent, and kind of refreshing politicians it has been in the country. I do think it's more the 15 years. And the other thing I was thinking about the other day was nobody gets out of politics alive. Hardly anybody gets out of politics with their career, with their reputation enhanced. They usually leave in shame. I'm thinking of Brian Mulroney, of Christy Clark, there's a whole legion of politicians who are essentially despised by the time they go. It's a rough, brutal business.
Vicky, what can you figure out the mystery of Kathleen Wynne?
I mean, I think the one part of it is incredibly obvious, which is that, she's a woman and she's a lesbian, and people just really don't like that notion of somebody who's their leader. But I think that also then gets, exponentially worse for some people, where they just don't agree with the government's decisions. However, it's worth saying that the NDP, when it comes to the Ontario legislature, the animosity that they're bringing to the campaign is not necessarily one that they brought to the legislature over the last few years, and they should be held to account for that.